My name is Jeremiah Patterson. I was in the U.S. Army Infantry for 10 years. I was stationed at Fort Drum, New York in the 10th Mountain Division. I went on several different deployments with the 10th Mountain. I went to Egypt, Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan. I was in Iraq. I was in Fallujah. I was in Iskandariyah, and I was in Al Habanaya. In Afghanistan, I was on the Pesh River. Uh, Moved into the Korengal. Actually, my company, we built the Korengal outpost. I was in the Korengal until October of 2006, and I ended up being medevac back because of an injury that I sustained. And shortly thereafter, I was med boarded from the military, and I came home. After getting home, I went through some pretty hard times. I didn't claim to have PTSD. I was an infantry squad leader. I led troops into combat. I led troops on peacetime missions. And to me that was showing weakness, and that was something I couldn't do. I thought that was for the weak-minded, and I went down this long path of destruction. I was full of anger. I raged out. I tore up everything I ever worked for in my life. And I went from addiction to addiction, and had some really hard times. I put my family through a lot. I thought I was made to suffer, and as an infantryman, we took pride in our suffering when we were out in the field and stuff. So, uh, with all my other buddies, after getting out, we talked. We were all going through really hard times, and we just thought, we were made to suffer. That's what we were supposed to do, and I took it out on everybody. Um, Slowly, all the values that I held dear started to slipping away from me. The values that the Army instilled in me, which was loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, integrity, and personal courage. As each one of them I let go, and ended up becoming a person that I wasn't. I was a shell of a man, that just was full of anger and rage. I went in and out of the psych wards from about 2015 to 2018. I went in and out, the psych ward 3 or 4 different times. I was in 2 different inpatient PTSD programs, one in North Chicago and one in Batavia, New York. And although they were helpful, um, I always came back and fell back into the same rut that I was in. And it wasn't until August of 2020, I went on the Lewis and Clark Memorial float down the Missouri River in North Dakota with a few of my buddies I went to Afghanistan with. And it was there where I continued to see God's beauty in the bright blue sky and the bald eagle soaring along the way and in the crisp, clear, cold river. God's beauty shined daily into the peaceful nights. We would reminisce around the campfire about our time in combat. But as quick as the trip started, it ended. We had a great time, but I still felt empty inside. And there was a few things said to me by my friends that really hit home. The words that resonated the most with me was, "What happened to you? You were once a great leader. You were squared away." At the time that was said, I just shrugged it off, blaming my PTSD and the diagnosis of a mild TBI, thinking that's why my life was in chaos. The trip down the river was over, and the first part of the trip home was complete. We stayed the night at my friend John's house in Iowa. That evening, we spent time with John's family and neighbors. And I boasted about this is what combat turned me into, an alcoholic, an addict who became self serving. I said out loud, "I'm a bad father." After we returned to John's place and was getting ready for bed, that's when I realized I'm tired. I'm tired of being a bad example, being inappropriate and offensive. The time I spent with my friends helped me to remember that I used to lead by example. I had the respect of my leaders, peers, and soldiers. I had to remember it was my faith in God who made me who I was. It was in that moment I got down on my knees and prayed for forgiveness, prayed for his direction to shine a light into my path because I was inevitably in the darkness. I prayed and I prayed, and he answered me. And his words were like a lamp unto my feet and a light into my path. Psalms 119, 105. When God shined his awesome light towards me, I came running as fast as I could, so excitedly. I didn't see the fence and blasted straight through it. God has always had a plan for me. Although my time in the darkness, I didn't always believe it, and at times tried to disprove it, but God wouldn't let me. Before I drifted into the dark, I wholeheartedly believe my faith in Christ saved me. I carried this metal Bible in Iraq and Afghanistan with me on every mission, no matter the difficulty level. It was in my assault pack everywhere I went. Psalms 91 I hold near dear to my heart. I believe it was God's promise to me to bring me home safe. In combat was the closest I've ever been to God. We spoke daily, and whenever I was scared, he told me to recite Psalms 91. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare of the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I am trusting him. This meant to me, just believe, and I will give you rest and keep you safe. For he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from the fatal plague. In my time of combat, my platoon had been ambushed by roadside bombs, RPGs, and small arms fire. We've been attacked in our patrol bases and mortared in our smaller outposts to our bigger forward operating bases. I've had people shot on either side of me more than once. My vehicle was struck by a roadside bomb, and everyone in my vehicle was injured, except me, the only one injured. God absolutely rescued me. He will shield you with his wings, and he will shelter you with his feathers. His faithful promises are your armor and protection. This is what God was saying to me. Recite this and pray to me. This will be your armor, and I will protect you. Do not be afraid of the terrors of the night, nor fear the dangers of the day, nor dread the plague that stalks in darkness, nor the disaster that strikes at midday. This he was saying to me, call me day or night, and in your darkest hour, I will be there. Though 1,000 fall at your side, though 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. But you will see it with your eyes. You will see how the wicked are punished. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evils will conquer you. No plague will come near your dwelling. For he orders his angels to protect you wherever you go. They will hold you with their hand to keep you from striking your foot on a stone. The year I spent in Iraq, over 1,000 soldiers lost their lives, and over 10,000 Iraqi combatants and non-combatants were killed. I've seen the aftermath of suicide bomber killing over 50 Iraqis instantly and wounding over 150. I've been in a mortar attack that destroyed 50% of my camp, catching tents on fire and cooking off rounds of various ammunition in the fire, but somehow the fire stopped at my tent. The attack left 18 wounded, and 2 soldiers lost their lives. The 18 wounded were in other tents inside the camp. The 2 soldiers killed were in a poorly positioned bunker. God told me, you will see the worst the world has to offer, but I will keep you safe. For I know the plans I have for you. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. You will trample down lions and poisonous snakes. You will crush fierce lions and serpents under your feet. This is what the good Lord did for me. He blessed me with the fiercest fighters on both deployments who were called on multiple times for his glory. The Lord says, I will rescue those who love me. When they call on me, I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue them and honor them. I will satisfy them with a long life and give them my salvation. I did call upon him, and he rescued me. I believed, and he protected me. I loved him, and he honored me. He has given me my salvation. My heart is for the veterans. I know what we went through. I know what you're going through. I know the thoughts and feeling like everybody's after you or nobody can understand you. I used everything that I went through for an excuse to act however I wanted. And he met me out in the middle of my addictions, in the middle of my sorrow and my despair. And he picked me up out of the mud and the mire and set me on a solid foundation. And he lit up my path and he said, "That way, Jeremy." I gotta say, I'm a part of the road home. The road home is for veterans of all eras, for mental health for their families. I've got the number here for home. It's 312-942-8387. Psychologist at the Effingham one was the intern psychologist at the very first PTSD program I was in. So he sat through my first trauma that I went through. So we got a pretty good connection. Um, I talked to the chaplain of the road home about every Friday. You got to be intentional with your mental health. If you're not intentional, it's just like you got to be intentional paying your bills, because if you're not going to pay them. So when you're having problems and you ignore them, they don't just go away. And that was my problem. I would go into these programs and I was intentional going in, but when I came back, I was not intentional in staying connected. The thing is, you got to stay connected, and I'm here anytime for all people, but my heart is for the veterans. I know we've had different levels of trauma. I just want you to know all these programs that I went through, yeah, they were good, but it wasn't until Christ awakened me that all my it's how I cope now, and knowing that He is for me, He's not against me, and He's always with me. And it's hard for me not to talk about my faith, because I've 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 destroyed my house. There's holes all over the place. I've busted out vanities. I've kicked in my doors. I don't have doors in my room or my master bathroom because I've busted them out. I know the anger and the rage. And I can understand a lot of what you guys are going through, and I just want to let you know these programs are good. Uh, get involved. I'm part of the Wounded Warrior Project, and part of the Road Home, but I also talk to a licensed clinical social worker at the VA about once a month as well, and a psychiatrist every 3 months. But it's because I need to stay in, I got to be intentional about taking care of my mental health, because I'm the head of the household. I'm the spiritual leader in my family. I can't go back that way. The light is in front of me. It's shining in my path right now. And I can't, nothing behind me is worth going back to. And I just hope this is helpful. If you need to talk to somebody, I'm always available. Um, Find a way, I'll just leave you guys my number, 618-553-6331. Get a hold of me anytime. I'm available to talk. I'll be there for you. Uh, and I appreciate this opportunity to be able to talk with you guys and to share my story. And God bless you.